It is a significant announcement, and it's all part of Canada's plan to meet its NATO commitment to spend 2% of GDP on national defence this year. It's a $900 million announcement for defence innovation in Canada. The partnership with the National Research Council will help grow domestic drone and aerospace technology.
Trump wanted Canada dependent on American weapons, American technology, American defense contracts, American goodwill. For decades, that is exactly what Canada was. Not anymore. Today, Canada announced $900 million in defense innovation, a drone innovation hub, a Canadian-built bombardier aircraft, quantum technology, artificial intelligence, autonomous systems built by Canadians for Canadians. And buried inside today's announcement was a three-word doctrine that should make every trade negotiator in Washington deeply uncomfortable. We build, we partner, we buy. In that order. Canada first, always. Today, Canada Insider breaks down exactly what that means and why Trump never saw it coming. To understand how significant today's announcement is, you have to go back to 1939. When Canada entered the Second World War, we had nearly no defense industrial capacity. Almost nothing. No aircraft factories running at scale, no armored vehicle production lines, no munitions industry capable of supplying a war effort of any size. And then something extraordinary happened.
Across the country. Well, when we entered the war in 1939, Canada had nearly no defense industrial capacity. But by June 1943, the Globe and Mail was reporting that 900 women and men were per week producing 80 aircraft per week. 4,000 motor vehicles, 450 armored fighting vehicles.
And the results were extraordinary. Starting from nothing, in 4 years, Canada became one of the most powerful defense manufacturers on the planet.
My point is we've done it before. We can do it again. On l'a déjà fait par le passé, et on est capable de le faire encore.
Those 8 words landed in that room like a declaration, because everyone in that hangar knew exactly what she meant. After the war ended, Canada dismantled its defense industrial capacity, sold it off, contracted it out, became dependent on American defense procurement for the next 80 years. 80 years of dependency, 80 years of buying American, 80 years of sending defense dollars south of the border and trusting that Washington would always be a reliable partner. And then Trump arrived, and the assumption that Washington would always be a reliable partner collapsed overnight. What followed was not panic. What followed was not retreat. What followed was a recalculation so fundamental, so deliberate, so precisely engineered that today it has a name, a budget, and a timeline. $900 million. Announced today at the National Research Council in Ottawa. And here is what most people completely missed. This is not a pilot program. This is not a feasibility study. This is not a government committee recommending that someone, somewhere, eventually look into the possibility of perhaps considering the idea of building Canadian defense capacity sometime in the future. This is $900 million, committed, today, in a hangar that has tested every Bombardier clean sheet aircraft ever sold. In a facility established during the Second World War, when Canada last decided it needed to build something from nothing. And it is only the beginning of something much larger that Canada just put its name on permanently. $900 million today. But here is the number that should make Washington stop and pay attention. Not 900 million, not 1 billion, not 10 billion. $470 billion over the next decade. In procurement, in infrastructure, in digital projects, all of it built in Canada. By Canadians, for Canada. And when you add the economic activity, that investment will generate the number crosses $500 billion. That is not a reorientation. That is a declaration of independence.
We partner and we buy. Construire, collaborer, acheter. We will build in Canada, prioritizing Canadian expertise, Canadian technology and Canadian production wherever possible. We will partner with our allies and establish strategic collaborations where they strengthen our security and our economy. I've just come back from India, Australia, and Japan. All 3 jurisdictions are very keen to start cooperating with Canada on this front. And thirdly, we will buy what we can't manufacture at home, or we will buy in partnership with others. In essence, purchasing from trusted partners when it makes the most sense to do so. Over the next decade, take note of this, we will invest $470 billion in procurement, infrastructure, and digital projects. Over the next decade, we will invest $470 billion in procurement, infrastructure, and digital projects. We anticipate this will generate more than $500 billion in economic activity across Canada.
We build, we partner, we buy. 3 words, in that exact order. That sequence is not accidental. It is not rhetorical. It is a complete restructuring of how Canada spends its defense dollars, written into official policy and announced in a hangar in Ottawa this morning. Build comes first. Canada builds what Canada can. Canadian expertise, Canadian technology, Canadian production, wherever possible, not wherever convenient, not wherever it is cheapest, wherever possible. That standard is deliberately high and deliberately permanent. Partner comes second, not America first, not Washington's permission first. India, Australia, Japan, all 3 countries already lining up to cooperate with Canada on defense technology before today's announcement was even made. McGuinty said it directly, all 3 are very keen. Keen, his word. Not cautiously interested, not potentially open. Keen. Buy comes third. And only from trusted partners. Think carefully about the word trusted. It is doing an enormous amount of work in that sentence. Trusted partners. Not all partners. Not the closest geographic partner. Trusted ones. Canada just told the world that proximity to the United States border does not automatically make Washington a trusted defense partner anymore. And here is exactly what $900 million is going to build. First, the Drone Innovation Hub, a national test center for drones, counter-drone systems, and autonomous flight technologies. McGuinty said it plainly. If you need any other evidence about the need for this research, turn on the newscasts. Anyone watching what drones have done on battlefields from Ukraine to the Middle East understands exactly what he meant without a single additional word of explanation. Second, the Bombardier Global 6500. The first Canadian-built aircraft ever acquired for defense research in Canada. A flying laboratory for intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and target acquisition technologies. Over 65 Canadian suppliers involved. Close to 1,000 jobs supported. NRC President Mitch Davies called it exactly what it is, a flying lab that will build an entire ecosystem of Canadian defense innovation around it for years to come. Third, everything beyond the hangar. Quantum technology, artificial intelligence, biomedical countermeasures, underwater sensors, post-quantum safe communications. 4 NATO Diana test centers operating in Ottawa alone. From clean energy microgrids in Vancouver to Arctic naval engineering in St. John's, Canada, is building defense capability from coast to coast to coast. And the jobs that come with all of it. 125,000 new jobs across Canada. That is the target written into the Defense Industrial Strategy. 240% increase in defense sector revenues. 50% increase in defense exports. Canada is not just building a defense industry for itself. Canada is building a defense export industry that will sell Canadian technology to trusted allies around the world. One CTV analyst said it best. They are going to intentionally make purchases in this country by design, by policy objective. That is a huge reorientation of the way the government of Canada has worked. A huge reorientation. 80 years of dependency ending today. So let us be precise about what just happened. Trump wanted Canada dependent on American defense contracts. Canada announced $470 billion in Canadian procurement over the next decade. Not $1 of it requires Washington's approval to spend. Trump wanted to be Canada's only trusted defense partner. India, Australia, and Japan are all lining up to cooperate with Canada on defense technology right now. Trump is not at the front of that line anymore. Trump thought Canada had no defense industrial base worth taking seriously. Canada just launched a drone innovation hub, a quantum research program, a flying surveillance laboratory, and a World Bank-style defense financing institution it is actively working to host on Canadian soil. Trump applied tariffs to make Canada buy American. Canada announced a doctrine: build Canadian first, partner with allies second, buy from trusted partners third, in that order. always. Trump thought this was a trade dispute Canada would lose. Canada just announced the largest defense industrial reorientation since 1943. In 1939, Canada had nothing. By 1943, Canada was building 80 aircraft per week. Minister Joly said it best. "We've done it before, we can do it again." And this time, Trump is not the reason Canada is building. Trump is the reason Canada stopped waiting. If you believe Canada should build its own defense industry on Canadian terms, with Canadian workers, using Canadian technology, if you believe $470 billion is the most powerful response to tariff pressure any country has ever announced without firing a single shot, if you want the analysis that connects every investment, every partnership, and every strategic move Canada is making to build its economic independence in real time, this is your channel. Subscribe to Canada Insider, turn on notifications, stay ahead of every move that matters. And now I want to hear from you. Is Canada's defense industrial strategy $900 million today, $470 billion over the decade, the moment Canada permanently ended its dependency on American defense contracts? Or is the real test still ahead? Let me know in the comments below.